up everyone? My name's Brianna and today I'm going to show you how to change your oil on a 2005 Subaru Forester. Just kidding. Today I'm going to talk with you about my journey with interpersonal communications and how I will use it in my future. So without further ado, let's jump in. Prior to starting this course, my confidence with communication was low. I've always been more on the shy spectrum of things when it came to communication, and if I had a question, instead of voicing it, I would keep quiet and hope that it would just be answered. I think that a lot of this might have come from my childhood and how I was raised. I was raised by my father, and while I do love my dad and have some really great memories with him, I have some equally not so great memories with him. Like when he would yell at me for doing something wrong, as if I should have known, instead of teaching me what I was doing is wrong. I believe that no parent is perfect, and I think that we all have a little bit of trauma from the people who raised us. Maybe my trauma is that whenever I'm uncertain, I just don't communicate. I've learned a lot about myself over these years, and I've taught myself to be a better communicator. One thing I value most in an interpersonal relationship is a two-way feedback loop. If there's no feedback between person A and person B, then you don't have a conversation. My shyness has gotten me into some pretty tricky situations over the years, whether I don't know what to say or if I just don't want to offend someone. For example, one day I came home from work and I was telling my husband that a coworker was chatting my ear off, but I was too shy to tell them that I really needed to go pee. He told me, "You need to start being yourself and stop caring what others think," which is something that I'm told often by many. Don't care what other people think. But on this day, I decided that he was right, and I decided to start being my regular, unfiltered self. Now, I can't attribute all of my communication success to myself. That would be the farthest thing from the truth. But I've learned so much from so many people in my past and in my present. One of those people being my best friend, who has helped me find confidence in my communication over the years. In my communication prior to taking this course, I would say that my biggest strength would be my use of emotional intelligence. I've always been a super caring individual and empathetic towards others. In our book, by many authors, one states that emotional intelligence is our ability to interpret and understand our emotions and our communication partner's emotions. I do believe that empathy is the best way for us to relate and connect with one another. Since I work in the medical field, it's ingrained into us as medical professionals to not only have, but to show empathy for patients. Saying, "I can understand how that might be difficult for you," instead of "I'm sorry," means more to someone than you might think. I wanted to get better at building and maintaining relationships by understanding the fundamentals of communication with other people. I do believe that I can make friends quite easily when I want to, but maintaining those relationships is where I tend to fall short. When you have a friendship with someone, you accept them, all of them, for who they are. I have been in college for quite a few years now, and I've had to push my friendships aside to prioritize my future, which meant saying no to hangouts or being there when people needed you. And because of this, it was something that really affected some of my relationships at the time. Since taking this course, I've learned many things, one of them being my type of listening style. I tend to be a more action-oriented listener. This can be good for having a conversation with someone who wants a solution to their troubles. However, when someone's just wanting to vent and get something off their chest, they tend to be a little less appreciative of my solutions when they never wanted my opinion in the first place. Schomburg touches on this in their article and suggests, when you notice yourself getting frustrated, pause and ask, what kind of conversation are we having, or should we try to have? Understanding or problem solving? In this context, an understanding communication style is related to people-oriented listening, as explained in our book. Problem-solving communication style is related to more action-oriented listening. I learned that being an action-oriented listener can have its benefits, but it may be a good idea to incorporate more people-oriented listening into the mix in some certain situations. Currently, I'm a medical assistant at my clinic, so it's outside of my scope to give advice, suggestions, or diagnose. I use people-oriented listening the most, and when I leave work, I tend to shut this listening off. So when I talk with friends or family, I shift to a more action-oriented listener, because that is what is most natural for me and what I sometimes wish I could do in the patient setting. Lately, in my conversations, I've been asking, "Do you want my opinion?" prior to just blurting out my advice and thoughts, which has been very beneficial for my relationships. I believe that many people could benefit from taking this course if they want to learn more about their communication style or the communication style of other people. There are things I learned in this course about my own communication and how I can be a better communicator. I now know how I can teach others in my life to be better communicators as well. If someone is wanting to work on their communication skills, the best advice that I can give them, if they want it, is to talk about your feelings. Be vulnerable and be willing to receive feedback. I hope that I can continue my communication learning after this course has ended and use it not only in my romantic relationships, but for communicating also with people who I've just met. Thank you all so much for listening to my journey with interpersonal communications. I'm so excited for what the future has in store for us. Bye!